Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Well, welcome to episode number 65 of the Monday Money Tip Podcast. My name is Joe Sangle, the founder of I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, fired up to help you say those very words. I was broke, past tense. Now I'm not. We want to help you take a step with your money today. As we know, money is a journey, not just one moment. And we need good moments, though, to make sure that the journey keeps going. And today, we're going to have a great time talking about what?
Yes. Today...
We're going to talk about yes?
No, Yes. Yes, that's what we're talking about. I was just saying, yes, I'm going to answer your question. Today, it's the last Monday of the month. Can you believe it? I cannot. So it's time to answer your questions. So we're going to answer a lot of questions today that range a variety of topics from refinancing a home mortgage to debt reduction to investing. So we're going to cover a lot of ground today. So
yeah, it's a fifth
Monday
of a month. There's only 4 of those in a year. And it's hard to believe fall is here. We're loving it. And that was the voice of my co-host, Megan Hibbard. And are you fired up today?
Always.
I have to ask that question. And we're so excited about this podcast because we get to answer your questions. It's what it's all about. Before we do that, we get to go to one of my favorite sections of the podcast. We know what time that is. Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
This portion of the podcast is sponsored by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. Take your finances to the next level by utilizing their debt freedom tools, financial tools, and calculators. Visit iwbnin.com, click on Tools, Budgeting Templates, Debt Freedom Date Calculators, Retirement Calculators, Investment Calculators. They're all right there at your fingertips, and they're all free.
That's awesome. I encourage you to check out those free tools. And since it is a fifth Monday of the month, I get to talk in this current money event section. Yeah! I get to talk about the national debt. The debt. It's a bad thing. This is bad news, folks. This is Joe Sangle reporting with the bad news. For U.S. bad news, the United States national debt, according to the USDebtClock.org, has went on up. It's went on up. It's moving on up. Past the east side, it's fell over the mountain to the sky. Isn't that awesome? My next career is singing. In fact, I'm going to release a Christmas album singing this year. If you want that, please comment the podcast because I just need one person to say yes, do it, and I'll probably do it.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, no, you're not allowed to say yes. It has to be a listener. It's $22.5 trillion is the debt now.
With the T.
Isn't that awesome? So tell everybody how much that is per citizen and per taxpayer.
Yes, per citizen, that's $68,355.
So think about that, citizen. Man, woman, and child citizen. That's $68K a piece. Get fired up on a Monday.
All
But
right.
not every citizen pays taxes.
It's true.
You know, your boy, Logan, is he paying taxes yet?
He's just a freeloader.
I mean, I know he's freeloading. I mean, I know he's probably getting like Gerber baby payments now because he's such a handsome little boy.
He is. We should get him sponsored. He's so cute.
He's making money.
Yeah.
But in the off chance he's not paying taxes yet, let's tell how much debt that is per tax-paying citizen.
Per taxpayer, that is $183,022.
$183K. That's a house.
There's a house.
Your nation, the nation that I'm a citizen of, has spent a house in debt.
Ooh.
For every American taxpayer.
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
That is crazy.
I mean, it might not be a house in California, but it'd be a house in South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Indiana, Ohio, the Midwest, Texas.
Definitely. That's
So
a nice
watch
house.
this. Since our update in March, that's up $400 billion. Is that crazy?
It's astronomical.
So in 5 months, we went up $400 billion. That's an average of $80 billion a month. $80 billion. And what I want to say about this is this can be fixed. And here's what we need to do. We need to have a budget. This is very shocking, stunning news. We need a budget that utilizes a famous formula, famous.
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 It's a new word.
A famous formula that you may have heard around here called income minus outgo has to equal
Exactly 0.
trademark.
Trademark.
I mean, this is a fact, folks. Think about this. I'm going to get fired up here in a minute. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm pointing at you. This is your responsibility. It's my responsibility if you're a U.S. citizen taxpayer. Here's your responsibility. Your responsibility is to elect representatives who will not spend more than is taken in. And the issue is, as a nation, we elect people that are representative of us. And as a nation, we are overspenders.
Yeah.
So we elect people that represent that behavior. And our nation is running themselves towards a cliff of ruin. That's a fact. We cannot keep living this way. As Ray Stevens sang in a song, if 10% was good enough for Jesus, it ought to be enough for Uncle Sam. Have you ever heard that song?
No.
It's a pretty good line.
You want to sing a little bit for us?
It's great. It says 10% is good enough for Jesus. It ought to be enough for Uncle Sam. That's what he says. But he says, you can't run a family, much less a country, with more going out than coming in. That's his line in his song. And I think that is something that we need to take to our representative. It starts with your local representative and take it to the nation. I'm getting fired up about this. I might have to do something about this.
You should.
Like personally, I might need to march up on Capitol Hill. Because here's the deal. Our kids are going to have to pay for this. Logan's going to have to pay for this. This is going to come due. And if you want to know why interest rates are being suppressed around the world, it's because the government can control that. And they know that if these interest rates go up, it will choke out nations. Because they will have to pay so much in interest, they won't be able to fund their defense. They won't be able to do anything. And the only way they'll be able to do it is by increasing taxes on their citizens. That's how they'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
Or shirk their responsibility to pay their debt. And I don't want our nation to do that. I want any nation to do that. And the wealthiest nations are those long-term that spend less than they make and they build margin. The same way for your household is the same thing that's true for any entity, for any business. Those that spend more than they have coming in. If you look at the stock market, the companies that are struggling most are those that are the highest leverage, the most debt. So I encourage you to make sure that you talk with your representatives, and as you vote, make one of the issues, please make one of the issues, being whether or not they believe in a balanced budget and can actually get something done about it. You know, in the late 90s, and the dot-com boom was on, the market had recovered greatly, the country actually ran a positive surplus. In fact, Bill Clinton was talking about the day that we would actually no longer have national debt, if you can believe it. And how far we've come in 20 years as a nation. It's because we've gotten away from having a balanced budget and holding ourselves to the rigor that every single American family has to do, which is every single family in the world has to do, which is you cannot spend more than's coming in. You cannot do that and prosper long term. And so I really hope that we've got a group of fired up people on the podcast that recognize this is not a political issue that is a Democrat issue, a Republican issue, an independent party, Green Party, I don't care what it is. This is a fundamental rule of math and money. And I encourage you to make it one of the issues that you vote about. We need everybody to do this. As I've always said, when the party starts talking about we versus them, it's not good for us, the U.S. And so that's it for today's current money events section, with the exception of one other thing. There's a but.
I was like, but you're missing one thing.
One thing, I want to give an update on the very exciting news. And that exciting news is about my next
new
book. I'm so fired up. We're very close to be able to do the pre-release sales.
Yes.
Very close. And so be on the lookout for that. This thing is headed off to proof and final printing. We're going to have a printing date any day now. And when we have that, we don't want to pre-sell books with kind of an interminable, not a drop-dead date that we're going to have books. But we're committed that those books will be in hand by the time Black Friday rolls around, no later than that, hopefully earlier. And so that you can get that for Christmas, start dreaming. We're going to talk about connecting your dreams with dollars. I've been working on the outgo side with I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. I've been working a little bit on income side with oxen and getting different ways to produce income. And then I wrote this book for young people, what everyone should know about money before they enter the real world, which is preventing money mistakes. This book is going to connect the two, the income and the outgo side, to connect your dreams with your dollars. Really fired up about it as we go into the year 2020. Fired up about that. In fact, in the next episode, we're actually going to share kind of what the cover looks like and potentially, just maybe, the title of the book. Woo! We're excited. I'm fired up. First new book in like 7 years.
Yeah, it's great. All right. Our success story today comes from
Tilicia.
I know. I was like, I had it and then I lost it. All right. Thanks for the video and taking time to educate me on how I can become a better steward of the funds I receive. You have fired me up.
That's awesome. And so this is a success story, and it's on the very front end of Tilicia's success story.
Yep.
And she said, thanks for the video. She's responding to one of the free videos on how to budget that we have, and taking time to educate me on how I can become a better steward of the funds I receive. One of the great, profound flip it moments. Every person has a flip it where the switch flips on and they realize there's a better way to manage money, and I'm now on that better way. They have to have a light bulb moment. It's a catalytic moment. You know, chemical reactions happen because of a catalyst. The catalyst happens. You build a house because there's a catalytic moment where you say, this house ain't working, we're going to build a different house. You have to make a decision. There's a catalyst. When I built my new house, the catalyst was named Megan Jennifer Sangle. That little baby girl, we ran out of room in the end, and we're like, we got to go do this. And so one of the things that I think is important is point out that Tilicia has had the pivot moment in her life. The light is on, and she's fired up. And passion coupled with a lighted up moment is what's going to allow Tilicia to be propelled towards financial success. And so you're listening to the podcast probably because you've had that moment already in your life. And I encourage you, share that story with others, because you have no idea about that coworker that's sitting next to you, earning about the same amount of pay, could be inspired by hearing your story and about your catalytic moment. You have no idea the profound impact you can have in their life by sharing about your journey. I always love it I think it's in Romans 11, maybe verse 2, plus or minus, that says that we overcome how? By the blood and by the power of our testimony. And so that's huge. And so, Tilicia, thanks for sharing that. We're excited to be able to celebrate with you every step of the way as you climb up the ladder to live a fully funded life.
Yep. And one of the things I love about this section of the podcast is you have people that are taking their first step, like Tilicia, which is awesome. They're taking a step. And then you have people that have become completely debt-free and have paid off a house, have paid off business debt. You know, they're all the way up on rungs 8 and 9 of the ladder. It's, you have the whole gamut of things. And I think that's so cool because everybody is at different points. And so we need the success stories of Tilicia taking the first step. And then we need the success story of whoever who said, I just paid off my house, I'm completely debt free.
Yeah.
Because no one is in the same moment. And so we need your success story. So if you have a success story, make sure you send those in no matter where you are on the ladder or in your money journey. It can help somebody. Like
that's
saying.
Awesome. And I really appreciate your pointing that out. It's one of the great benefits of being around for a while, right? Yeah. You've been able to be around I Was Broke, Now I'm Not for many years now. And we've been doing this. I've been doing one-on-one coaching since 2004. I've been on my own personal journey since 2002. And this ability to see things for over 15 years, 16 years, unbelievable. Yeah. It's a great reward for sticking with something long-term.
Okay, so like we said, it's the last Monday of the month before we hit October. And pumpkin. We're just like, October is really pumpkin season.
It's pumpkin spice season.
But I think obviously you can get it now, which I love pumpkin season.
I've already went to Skytop Orchard in Flat Rock, North Carolina, and got my apple donuts.
I'm going to have to go.
And I picked the Honeycrisp apples were off the trees, but there were some in the store. Yeah. They gave free samples of them. But those are the all-time favorite. But then the Gala apples were perfect ripe picking season. The trees were loaded. And so we picked a bunch of those, and we picked some Mutsu. Oh. Mutsu. And those are a type of like a Golden Delicious almost. And then we picked some Jonah Golds. And, man, we came home and made an apple crisp with ice cream.
So yummy.
It was awesome. Get fired up. It is that great season. It's the end of the month. We get to answer featured questions. Ask me the first question.
Yes.
I'm going to answer them very rapidly, maybe.
Okay. So our first one comes from Greg in Florida, and he said, We've recently completed the I Was Broke. So he's talking about I Was Broke. The study, yes. Through our church in Claremont, Florida a few months ago. And it's made a huge difference in our finances. One struggle we're having is an automated budgeting tool. Can you recommend one or send one? And then he's also said he's almost finished reading the Oxen book, realizing the importance of adding more oxen to create abundance. I want to thank you again for your ministry and teaching. We're so thankful for the tools and resources you provide to us. We're just taking the success story section is continuing.
Yeah, I like it. Greg is continuing on here. And so I love Claremont, Florida. I've been there a couple times. They have like one of the largest softball tournament complexes in the nation.
No.
It's pretty amazing. And a lot of orange groves there too. It's awesome. Love that place. It's near Orlando. Yeah. But he completed the I Was Broke, Now I'm Not study. It's a 6-week study that takes place in churches all over the nation. And one of the things that is interesting, he's struggling with having an automated budgeting tool. And can I recommend one or send one? Well, first off, automated budgeting tool can have many different meanings. Number one, I have actually tried to have it automatically budget people's money for them to where it automatically does it based on percentages or all that stuff. But that's kind of impossible. It can do a little bit of artificial intelligence where it looks at past spending habits and patterns, but it can't predict future expenses. Like having another baby, like getting a dog, which we did recently. We got a dog.
It's so cute. You share pictures on Instagram. You should go look at those pictures because
it's a puppy. It's a golden retriever puppy.
She's cute.
Ginger Justice. Ginger Justice. My son named the first name and my daughter named the middle name. Aww. Ginger Justice, and she's cute, but she cost me money, and AI automation can't figure that out. Yep. And so we do have automated tools that automate the math for you.
Right.
And also have protection to make sure you don't mess up the formulas. And those are all available at iwasbrokenowimnot.com under the tools section. We have budgeting tools, debt tools, financial calculators, investing tools, all sorts of things, all the different calculators you can imagine, they're there. And but I would encourage you to take a look at those. And the way that I've kind of automated my budgeting is I've used the annual budget tool. So, Greg, I encourage you to check that one out because then you can actually copy your budget for the next 12 months. And I'm always looking at least a year ahead. Right now, we're in September. It's the last day of September. I've prepared my budget for October already, and I'm already looking all the way through December of 2020. Already, 15 months ahead. Why? Because a lot of the expenses are going to be similar. Some will not be. And so I'm looking ahead and making adjustments, and it makes budget time so much faster, easier, and almost feel automatic. Greg, if you do figure out a way to automate everybody's money management in a way that they all end up being millionaires, giving, saving, investing, and planning the rest really well, you will be a billionaire. I want in on that deal. Thanks again for sharing your success story too. Fired up for you.
All right, our next question comes from Justin, and Justin is in Ohio. And he says, in what ways has your teaching trickled down to your children? Has your teaching helped them in their understanding of money? If so, in what ways?
That's a great question. And so I got 3 kiddos. I've got one in college right now as we do this podcast. She's just entered her 2nd year of school, but ranks as a junior. And then I've got a 4th grader, and then I've got a kindergartner. Get fired up. Yikes. And so one of the things I would really encourage you to think about is, that kids learn differently at different ages. And they also learn differently based on their personalities. And so my teachings have trickled down to my kids in that they all understand that I teach the give, save, invest, plan the rest technique. Whenever they receive money, we have taught them this since they were a baby, that whenever you receive money, you automatically tithe. You're going to give 10% of it away, and automatically you're going to save the same amount, and you're going to invest the same amount. So give, save, invest, 10% each, going to guaranteed happen, and then you're going to plan the rest with a budget. When they're little kids, we actually have the cash itself. We put the cash in front of them so that they can subdivide it up. We actually have bought Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace Junior training thing because it also has a chore chart with a dry erase board, and you can assign them chores based on their age, and they can earn money that way so they don't just get allowance. They get commissions based on doing work.
Yeah.
And they also can get penalties for fines for misbehavior, like throwing a fit, like refusing to do work. It's pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
And then we pay them in real money and then make them split it up immediately. And one thing I love about that Financial Peace Junior product, we'll leave a link to that resource on Amazon. You can buy it there or through his individual store, is they have envelopes for give, save, and spend. I have to add the invest one. And so that's really important to plan that out. And so that teaching has trickled down. And then when my daughter turned 14, it's different. Every parent kind of knows when their kid's mature enough to handle this. But I had her look at the cost of clothing, the cost of all the different food she would need for high school, for going out with friends, for all the just stuff that it costs for a kid in a house. And I had her calculate how much that was. And the deal is I'm going to divide that by 12 to calculate a monthly amount, and I'm going to pay it to her monthly. And now she's responsible for buying her clothes. She's responsible for buying her own food. She's responsible for all that. And every single month before she got that money, she had to report on how she did in the last month and show the budget for the next month. And it better have give, save, invest, and plan the rest.
Yeah.
She actually used the I Was Broke Now I'm Not app. And so all through high school, we did this. And then she got a car. And we split the cost 50-50. She had saved up half for the car. And she needed a pay raise. She wanted a pay raise. Because I've got gas expenses and all this stuff. And I told her, no. And she was very frustrated with me. But I told her that it's a lesson to learn that when just because you chose to increase your expenses does not mean you get a pay raise. That your pay raise is effective when you are. And of course, she's a runner, a cross-country runner. And so she's running most of the time. So she can't really get a job, a job. And so I told her, I'm paying you because you don't have a job because you're running. And your running is a job because it's going to help you earn a scholarship for running. And that actually proved true. And so as she went to college now, she continues to do that every month. Only now I've let her operate by her own budget now. And so I just send her the money and just am letting her have a free reign of whether or not she chooses to plan it out.
That's great.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah. Okay, our next question. What has been your best investment lately?
Ooh, Joe, stock tips coming your way. My all-time greatest investment I ever made is buying businesses. I've bought 3 businesses. I've not lost with any of my businesses. In fact, it's made out like a bandit in most cases. But my greatest stock investment, should I do that?
Do it.
Yeah, my greatest stock investment, my greatest one ever is Roku stock. I bought Roku stock. Are you ready for this? I'm going to pull it up live from the worldwide headquarters in Anderson, South Carolina with my Schwab.com account. I'm going to pull it up. And if you're on YouTube, you can kind of see me pull it up on my phone here. And my Roku stock is unbelievable. In fact, it's just, I wish I would have bought $7 million worth of it, except for I had one problem. I did not have $7 million in free cash sitting around. But I bought this stock for $27.49 when it went public in October of 2017. A year later, it had went up to like $70. Yikes! And I sold a bunch of it. And then I bought some more. It dipped down to $40.69. Today, as I'm talking, it's up another 7.32%. It's up $11.48. It is $168.
Oh my gosh.
And from my $40.69 rate, it is up a total of 313.78%.
Wow.
I'm not going to talk about the investment right above it, in which I've lost 55.22% and all that. But that's my greatest investment I've made so far.
It's a journey, not
And
a moment.
So Roku stock, I can't retire on it, but let me tell you, it's going to help fund some of it. And that's my greatest investment lately. Is that good?
Lately, yep.
What's your greatest investment lately?
Jordan and I actually need to sit down and redo our investments. So I feel like this might be like, we've had it on the counter for a while. Summer for us is crazy. We finally have gone on the last vacation.
But that's an investment.
We love
Retirement
vacation. We love vacation and retirement. So now we're needing to sit down and redo everything. And so maybe next episode.
Maybe next episode is going to be your best investment lately.
My best investment lately.
That's awesome.
And it will be great. And I can't wait. All right. So last question. Rumor has it you've been working on another book. Is that true? Kind of leaked that a little bit at the beginning.
The answer is yes, it's true. And I can't wait to release it. And I also have about 4 other books I want to write. And I refuse to write just a new book every year. I mean, I could do that, I guess. But for me, I write best when I'm inspired to write it. When I really feel, I don't know if the word called to write it is a thing, but I think it's close to that if it's not that. Because you've got to be called to spend the time, energy, and effort to thoroughly research a topic, to try it out, to experiment with it and write it. And to write 37,000 words for me when I used to freak out about a 2-page term paper that I could double space is a lot. And I really feel like it's like birthing a baby at some level. I've not done that. You have done that.
I have done that.
But it is painful. It is an ongoing experience. And you hope when people see it, they say, oh, isn't that a beautiful baby? That's really what you want them to say.
Which they do.
But you're fearful
Yeah.
that they might talk about your baby in a negative way.
Yeah.
And on Amazon, the trolls are going to show up and say, this is so simplistic, this is so simple, or what, whatever.
Oh, the trolls.
But the rumor is it is true. We've wrote the book and we're fired up. It's going to be releasing sometime in the next 6 weeks. Fired up about that book.
Awesome. Okay, our key financial quote for today is, it's good to have money in the things that money can buy, but it's good to check up once in a while and make sure that you haven't lost the things that money can't buy.
Isn't that good?
Who is this? It's from George Lorimer.
George Lorimer.
Lorimer.
So
that's how you say it in the South.
So he's passed away many years ago, like in the 40s.
Oh, wow.
And he was the editor of the Saturday Evening Post. And he was the editor that was in charge when it went from a circulation of several thousand copies a month to millions.
Oh, wow.
And was with Norman Rockwell doing the illustrations on it. You've seen these Saturday Evening Posts? And that is an amazing quote, isn't it? That says, it is good to have money and the things that money can buy, but it's good, too, to check up once in a while and make sure you have not lost the things that money can't buy. So good. As we talk about all this money stuff, never lose sight of what's most important in your life. Fired up.
Okay, so our topic for next episode is how to pay off your house early. So this is going to be an episode you don't want to miss. We'll find out about strategies you can easily employ to pay off your house in early.
Yeah.
So maybe years early.
How to pay off your house early.
Maybe even decades early.
Yeah. And so listen, if you want to pay off your house early, you may have just bought a house. You may be 4 years into a 30-year payoff. We're going to figure out how to do that in 10 years or less. Every person listening to the podcast, you can pay off your house, even if you haven't bought it yet, within the next 10 years.
That's crazy.
Get fired up. I did it. You can do it too. We're going to talk about it next episode of the podcast. Super pumped about that one.
Yes. So if you liked today's episode, please leave us a review. These ratings and reviews can help us make our podcast better for other listeners. And don't forget, on the last Monday of the month, just like today, we're going to be answering your top money questions. So if you have a question, no question is too little or too big. It feels weird to say too dumb, but because I don't think that's right. But there's no question that we won't answer. So make sure you send those in. And you can email them to info@iwbnin.com, and it could be featured on the podcast. And also, if you've implemented one of our tips, make sure you share your success story by emailing that to us as well.
That's awesome. As we finish this episode number 65, we want to say we're entering into the fourth quarter of the year. October 1st is tomorrow. And I want you to know this. It is in the fourth quarter in which championships are decided, and is when the real team that has done the hard work, the preparation, that have the diligence to last. And so make sure you finish this year on a strong, high note. And you can do that by making sure you put in place the practical tips that we've shared and the things that you know you need to do with your finances. So I encourage you to go do the one thing you can do this week to take a step forward next week. We'll see you next week with the first episode of the fourth quarter. Fired up.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.